I was so mad at this look, but seeing it on camera right now on my little monitor, I'm like, you did some, little Gray. You did some. Hi you guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Kalangia and I'm so motherfucking happy to have y'all on here. Guys, I think I've said this way too many times that making an intro just never makes sense to me unless it's like a very specific video and I'm like, okay, welcome to my video and I'm gonna be showing you guys but nonetheless, I hope everyone is doing okay. Okay, so today's video is not necessarily a story time, but it's about something that has crossed my mind lately when I was on Twitter and I saw this very wholesome, was it a thread? I don't even know if it was a thread or what it was, but it was about this guy sharing his experience with his father after he had came out or something, and his dad was like, oh, you know, I accept you, woo, 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 just like every other parent should. And girl, it had me thinking like, damn sis, your daddy don't know. So my dad doesn't really know that I have transitioned to become who I am today, and I live my everyday life as Kalandria. So that tweet really had me thinking, oh damn sis, that man don't know. So I'm just gonna do like, I guess it's gonna be like a story time, a little sit down video about me and my dad's relationship, and quite frankly why I think he doesn't deserve to know, or rather be a part of my life. That's what we're going to be talking about in today's video, so keep on watching and don't forget to like and subscribe and leave a comment down below about your experiences coming out to your family or whatever, child. Just keep on watching and let me tell y'all about this man. Okay, so my dad was really never a part of my life, like for as long as I can remember, since I was a little child. According to my mom, my dad literally left while she was still pregnant, or when I was like a little baby. That's probably why I cannot remember. But literally, I've probably ever seen that man 10 times in my whole entire life. And now as a young adult, just looking back at my childhood and some of the things that I couldn't really put into words or put into my own perspective, and I just had, you know, the mentality of a little child. Girl, I'm thinking about it now as a 20-year-old and I'm like, damn, that man hated me. Like my dad was just those men who were not ready to be a father, or at least ready to be a father to me or be a father with my mom. He would come over to my grandmother's house and, you know, he was like, coming to check me and stuff like that. And like I mentioned, guys, I've probably seen this man like only 10 times in my whole entire life. So I remember when I was around the age where now I can obviously remember him visiting, I was probably like 6 or 7, and in my neighborhood my friends had like bicycles, and you know, we always liked playing in the hood together. And I remember just pleading and asking him to buy me a bicycle, and I think he only got me like a bicycle the third or fourth time he came to visit. And it's like at this point, girl, I didn't even want to remind him about the bicycle like every single time he would come, because I've told him and he'll keep disappointing me. Like he would literally come empty-handed, you guys, not some candy, nothing, to be like, oh, you know, I brought my child something, whoop whoop whoop, like a normal parent would, a parent that actually loves their child. So I think it was on his 4th visit when he actually got me the bicycle, girl. Like the way this man was so foreign to me, and the way I just never felt like he was my dad. Like I didn't feel connected to this man in any type of way except for the fact that we looked alike. Ew. I just admitted that on camera, but we do look alike. Literally the 4th or the 5th visit was when he actually bought me a red bicycle. I still remember it till this day. I was so happy. I was so happy to finally have a bicycle, and you know, him teaching me how to ride it was such a sweet moment, you know, obviously for a father and a child, which is something that I will give to him. I was thankful for that moment. And yeah, so literally every single time my dad would visit, girl, he had like luxury cars. Like my dad, one thing about that man, he wasn't broke, okay? I just don't, he was broke when it came to actually having to pay my fees and just having to pay child support. I think when my mom took him to court for like child maintenance and everything, he even paid a lawyer just for us not to win the case and for him to pay. Girl, I don't know, but my mom ended up like not caring about it, and girl, she just worked hard and made sure that she can, you know, provide for me and just leave that man alone. Because like, guys, one thing about child support, it's so weird to me how you need to remind someone who was there, who was actively there when the child was being made, but now we need to chase around, like what, girl? And my mom has no patience. And as much as we needed the money back then, because my mom was still in school, in university, and I was being taken care of by my grandmother, Lord bless her soul in heaven. I miss her so much. But yeah, so yeah, he did call the lawyers, and girl, he didn't want to do all that. He didn't want to pay for child maintenance. And my paternal grandfather had passed on, and I feel right now he felt guilty, and I'm just gonna explain later what happened next. He came over to tell us that his dad was no more. I remember he was crying, and you know, my little innocent self as a little child that I was, I just went and I gave him a hug, you know, like, and just gave him my condolences. Sorry, I didn't feel anything, obviously, because he did not want me and my grandparents to have a relationship. He never really introduced me to my grandparents until obviously his father passed away. If not a few weeks, a few months later, he came over to pick me up, and you know, it was just like out of nowhere. Like, that man had no damn respect. Like, he didn't even have the decency to call my mom and say, yeah, so I wanted to come pick Atlahang up so that we can go shopping and stuff like that. But I had not even took a shower, I didn't even bath, and girl, he just like came like, yeah, I just wanted to go somewhere with Atlahang. He took me shopping at Menlyn Mall in Pretoria, and so when we get there, we're just shopping it up. It was a weird experience for me, because I know that I'm with my dad, but him and I literally don't even have a relationship. I was only ever used to going shopping with my mom, so going shopping with him felt foreign. I just felt like I couldn't even pick up half of the things that I really liked, because since I was a little child, like, I've always liked to express myself, to be really who I am, even in my clothes. My mom is not the most liberal of parents, so I wasn't really allowed to dress up in girl clothes, but you know, I would buy little cute t-shirts and stuff like that. But that's besides the point. Shopping with him was just not cool. It felt like I was with a stranger, girl. It felt like I was getting kidnapped, okay? I felt so uncomfortable, but it happened. So literally while we're shopping, there's a family at the mall, and it looks like they know each other. So one of these ladies, who was also I think shopping with one of her kids, was like, oh my gosh, who's this young person that looks like you? And literally, guys, my dad didn't even introduce me to these people. He didn't even introduce me to these people, like the decency to just say, oh, this is my child, yeah, I just came shopping. Girl, he didn't do it. He literally, I think he left me behind and went to entertain these people, gave them a hug, said hi, whatever. It did look like it was people that he knew. So cool. That's that. I didn't think much of it back then because I was a little child. I'm only ever like really thinking about these things now as a young adult. And so we drive. So I'm thinking that we're driving back home because we finished shopping, and I think he bought me like a burger at McDonald's and whatnot. So now it's time to drive back home. And then he's like, can we just like stop somewhere? I'm getting scared because, sir, where are you taking me? Where are we stopping? And he's like, I just want you to he's like, I want you to say hi to your grandmother and everything. So we get there. So mind you, like I said, my grandfather had passed on. He had passed away. So in most African traditions, you wear black, like the lady, the widow wears black, like all black. And I think you're not really supposed to touch hands and greet people like that. So literally when we walk in, like, they live in the farms, child. It smelled so bad. I think they had horses and animals, turkeys. They had turkeys, girl. I know them turkeys was causing a stench, okay? Because the minute I got out the car, I was like, I'm not a bougie person, but it don't smell great over here. So there goes my grandmother. She's just sitting there in her black and everything. And the way I was raised, you greet elderly people by hand, by shaking their hands and, you know, hello. And I was honestly quite like excited because that's my granny. So she obviously doesn't reach out her hand, and that broke my little heart, you guys, as a little child. It was only when I got home and explained it, and my grandmother told me, my maternal grandmother told me, nah, it's because she's mourning. Usually they're not allowed to shake hands. But so while that was happening, I was just like, oh, maybe she doesn't see my hand or whatever. So I just sat down. So it turns out my half sister, girl, I don't even know if that was my half sister or what, but I think it was one of his children who would, if it was his children, because of how excited he was to see her. Girl, that was my half sister. That was my half sister. He got so excited to go in the house and to see her, and just like basically the kind of excitement that I wish he would have had for me when he saw me and stuff like that, but he didn't. So I'm having a conversation with the lady. She's just asking me like, where are you from? This. Like, girl, I'm excited, but I'm also hurt. I don't know how to feel, because like I'm excited to see my paternal grandmother, but I gave her my hand and this lady did not say hi back. What's up, granny? Square up. Are we fighting? Are you like your son? I'm just kidding. But yeah, it felt so awkward, and we're just having like a little conversation, and you know, she's just asking me what school I went to. Whoop. I was still in primary. I was definitely still in primary school. And so my dad comes out holding that little girl. She seemed like a little child, but she could walk by herself, and she wasn't like a goo goo gaga, a little child. She seemed, girl, I couldn't even get a word with her. I couldn't even get a word with my half sister or whatnot. And it obviously has to do with the fact that he didn't want me to have a relationship with him or his children or his family whatsoever. The only reason he brought me to come see his mom was because he felt guilty. This man literally only introduced me to his mother because he felt guilty about his dad passing on and his dad not knowing me. So I think he wanted to do it right, I guess, and introduce me at least to my paternal grandmother. He was like, yeah, this is Atlekhan, whatever the hell was said that I don't remember. I only remember this one part because it really broke my heart, because I used to look up to my father, because like having a father was so foreign to me. So like seeing him around was like, oh my god, that's my dad, it's my father, you know, like a little child would. So his mom literally asks him like, who is this young person that looks like you? And he literally starts laughing. He's like, nah, they don't look like me and stuff like that. Like literally what I did not deserve to hear as a child. Okay, I still remember till this day so vividly that one statement that he made. He was like, nah, they don't look like me, they look like themselves. And that really hurt my feelings, because I, like, honestly, as a child who looked up to their father, I needed him to say, oh yeah, this is my child, you know, we look alike, this, do. But he didn't. Girl, I felt so neglected. Like I've always felt neglected by him, obviously because he wasn't even in my life to begin with. But that made me feel so like, I don't know, it hurt my feelings as a child. It did, like it did hurt my feelings. And so I didn't look too much into it until we left. So he takes me back home, and I think that was actually the last time I saw him in my whole entire life. So it's like a few years later now. It's 8th grade. I want to say 8th or 10th grade. So I had moved in with my mom, and I think him and I finally started keeping contact because you know, honestly, like for a single mother, we were having like a lot of financial issues, or rather she just needed a helping hand as a single parent. And I think that's when we started reaching out to him. Like I've always reached out to this man, and he would change his when I tell you the devil works hard, but my daddy was, girl, when I say men are trash, my dad is literally the first on that list. Okay, so I think I had called him, like even throughout, like back in the day when I was in primary and whatnot, every single time I would call him, like trying to tell him, oh, I have a trip, I have this. Oh, you guys, now that I remember this one part, like one of the other times that he came to visit, he promised to throw me a birthday celebration. Like that's something that my mom and my grandmother constantly made sure that I had. Like every single person in our neighborhood, in our hood, knew that on my birthday, girl, we was about to turn up. Like it was always such a good time. Like my mom really made sure that, you know, I have like a great birthday and it was like a celebration. Girl, my little dumb ass, and I don't even want to call myself dumb for that because I was just a little child and I did what any other child could have done. I invited everyone in our street. I invited people in my school transport. Girl, I invited people. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. I invited people from my school, and my grandmother kept telling me like, stop inviting people, you know how this man is. But like a little child that I was so innocent and I wanted to see the good in him so bad, but I shouldn't have done that. And girl, on the day of my birthday, guess who was a clown? Guess who was a clown? And her deadbeat father couldn't even show up to buy me like a little cake at least just to make up. Girl, literally on the day of my birthday, oh, this is so sad. I don't even know how old I was, but we were still living at my grandmother's, so I was definitely under 10 years old or older. I don't remember, but I had invited people, and luckily not people didn't really like come around. I don't know if my grandmother, she was babysitting. I think she was at my auntie's place after my auntie had just gave birth. So that means it was in 2011, and that means I was 10 years old. So I was probably turning 10 when he promised to throw me a birthday party. Like people didn't even show up, honestly, because I was just a little child giving invitations. I feel like most parents want to have an elderly person come and actually give invitations. I'm just thankful about that. I was so embarrassed, and obviously my mom had not planned to throw me a birthday, so we couldn't even throw something really quick. So yeah, he was nowhere to be found. We kept calling him, and he did what he usually did when I had to ask for money and school fees and stuff like that. Like the sad reality about this man is that it's not that he couldn't afford it, it's just that he didn't want to do it. Because every single time he would visit, girl, he had a luxury car. Like I remember BMW was one of his favorite cars. I think it was 8th or 9th grade when we were in contact, and like I had not seen him in so long, but I finally had WhatsApp, and so I had him on WhatsApp and I would text him every now and then. I think he had a conversation with my mom, and my mom was like, okay, let me give you Atlahang's number, whatever. And then he sent me his picture, I sent him mine. So I asked him to buy me a laptop. I remember I don't know, I just wanted a laptop. Like to be quite honest, I didn't really need a laptop, and having a laptop back then, I was just probably gonna use it to do like schoolwork, Google at most. Like I really didn't need it, but girl, I just felt like, damn dude, like we don't ever give you a problem, you don't even be sending me money, so just buy me a laptop. And I just wanted a laptop. So I think it was on a Saturday. I think it was a long weekend. It was either a Friday or a Saturday, and I had a dream about my dad. So I had a dream that he had passed on. This was literally around the time that he came back in my life, and probably this is why I had this dream. But I had a dream that he had passed away, and in the dream I was treated like, I don't know, the little outsider child. Like I remember everyone was dressed really nicely and everything to attend his funeral, and I was like I was like the stepchild. Like something about that dream gives me very much Cinderella, and you know, I was like the little stepchild or the outsider child, and I was sitting outside the church or whatever the building was, and I was like in old clothes, dirty clothes, and people kept walking in, and you know, they kept saying, oh my gosh, who's this child that looks like him so much? Because one thing about me, girl, ew, I hate to admit this, but I do look like my dad, especially back then when I had not transitioned, and now I can only think that I look like his feminine version, like a daughter version of his. So yeah, people were like, oh my gosh, that child looks just like him. And so obviously the reason I still remember that dream till this day was because it was a scary dream. I don't think I've ever dreamt about someone dying. Now that I think about it, that dream actually was a symbol of letting go of him, because mind you, I kept contacting him about buying me a laptop, and he was like, oh, I'm gonna check by macro and everything. So when I woke up from that dream, it was around the times that we were talking, him and I, through WhatsApp, right? So when I woke up from that dream, it was obviously scary, and no child wants to dream about their parents dying. So now I got scared and I started crying, and I was like so frustrated, and my mom is sleeping. I don't know whether to wake her up. Like, it was just those nightmares where you dreamt of your parent dying. So I don't know if I should like hit him up, tell him like, hey, are you okay, and stuff like that. So now I'm getting frustrated. I don't know what to do. It was a bad dream. I know I can reach out to this man. So do I check up on him? Do I not? Like, what do I do? So I start crying and I don't know what to do, right? So later that day, I remember we had to drive to my grandmother's house. I don't know if it was like during the holidays and I had to spend the holidays at my grand's, but so yeah, we drove to my grandmother's house. But then I text this man and I'm like, I've been asking you to buy me a laptop. I was very angry. The reason I was angry was the fact that I had all these feelings about that dream that made me, I don't know how to put it in words, but like that dream really frustrated me, and I was very much like confused, and it made me feel bad that I was feeling bad for someone who I was not supposed to feel bad for. And I guess that was just the innocence of being a child and dreaming about your own father dying. And so like I just hated that that dream had a negative impact on me, and I started becoming so hard on myself. Like, why am I feeling bad for this man when he's literally ever treated me like trash, while he actually never treated me like I am his own, you know what I mean? So now that's where the anger woke up, child. That's when Miss Angriana got up, and I texted him and I was like, yeah, like, you are such a bad person, you're such a bad father. I've only ever asked you for one thing in my life. Like, you, I don't even remember what I said. Whatever I said, it was definitely out of anger. And then he sent the text to my mom. He screenshotted the text and sent them to my mom, because this was a conversation between him and I, and my mom had no idea that I was literally going back and forth with my dad on my phone. So we're literally having this little argument over the phone, and he literally tells me, he's like, you're so disrespectful, God is gonna deal with you. Are you dumb? Like, my dad is so hypocritical. Like, he's the stereotypical, like, he's so annoying. Like, why would you even say that? Like, dude, you have a child that you don't even take care of, and you want to tell me about God? Ugh, child, practice what you preach. Like, I didn't even give a damn about what he was saying. Like, at this point, he made it look like I was being disrespectful, but he just didn't want to hear the truth from my child, okay? And just me saying how I felt and what I felt about him really definitely like hit him off the wrong way. And he's like, yeah, God will deal with you, you're so disrespectful, And so he tells me, if you don't want me to be in your life, just tell me and I will do the honor. Girl, this man was literally gaslighting me for how I was feeling and patronizing me, because what do you mean by, if you don't want me to be in your life, I will do the honor? And I literally tell him, I'm like, you already did the honor, you're not in my life. Like, you pop by every single now and then, and now these feelings are coming from that dream that I had, because I hate that it hurt my feelings. Like, I shouldn't be feeling anything about this man. So that was the last time me and my dad had a conversation. I don't know if he had blocked me after that situation. And like I said, this was like 8th or 10th grade, so I was probably like 13, no, I was probably like 14, 15, around those ages. And I think a few years later, my granny, before she passed on, she had like called him and had a conversation with him about like what had happened, and talking about how like my feelings were valid, that he supports his other kids and he doesn't support me. And that was the last time I've ever really heard about, well, I heard of this man. And I've never reached out to him ever since. I never really cared to find out about him or my half siblings and what's going on. Like, I genuinely don't care. So yeah, you guys, that is the whole story time really. My dad doesn't really know that I am Kilanjia right now, and I genuinely don't care. So this video is to like tell you guys that every child deserves to have parents, but not every parent deserves to have a child. And that is a perfect example for my dad. I don't think he was ready to have me and stuff like that. And whatever happened between him and my mom is really none of my business. And I know in situations like this where the father is a deadbeat, a lot of people like to ask the question like, what did your mom do? Like, what happened between the two of them? Honestly, that has nothing to do with this whole story time. All I know is that my mom held her end of the stick and she did her best raising me, both emotionally, financially. She played her part. Like, I need to secure the bag and spoil that lady because she deserves it. But him, on the other hand, he was not in the picture, and I don't even want to hear anything else. I don't care what happened between the two of them. All I know is that he was like not an honest person. He was definitely not an honest man, because when I was a little child and my family went over to his home to tell his parents about me, that my mom was pregnant, apparently there was another family that also walked in that my dad was a whore, and that was just who he was. So yeah, this is just to say that you should never blame yourself, or rather for the young people who are watching, like if you're young and you're blaming yourself like I used to when I was a little child, like it's probably my fault, my dad is not in the picture. Like, it's not your fault, you didn't do anything wrong. He decided to have a child and just go, and in my case be a stereotypical black man who runs away from his responsibilities. And so yeah, I just don't want you guys to ever blame yourself for your parents' behavior. And this situation in general, I don't feel the need to have a relationship with him. I don't feel the need to reach out to him. And to be quite honest, even though he's my father, I don't feel bad about it, because that's a choice that he made. Like, he made his own bed, now he needs to lie in it. Like, I don't think I want to have a relationship with him because he didn't want to have one with me too. And so that's why he ain't gonna know about Calandria. That was the little story time, I guess. If you enjoyed it or you have a similar situation to mine, comment down below and tell me what your story is, if you mind sharing, of course. Be sure to follow me on my social media on Instagram and Twitter at Calandria_R. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. I love you.